So my friend Josie has been with her boyfriend for 15 plus years. I've known Josie for almost 6 years, and we've been really close, despite there being a significant age gap in our relationship. Josie and her boyfriend are tying the knot, but it's more of a formality. They already live together, have kids, own a house, etc. So instead of a big extravagant wedding, they're renting a mansion to host like 15-ish people, including myself. They're getting married on the property, and we're going to be partying there. There's a pool, and it's on the water, so there will be plenty of fun stuff to do. In lieu of wedding gifts, they just want everyone to contribute to lodging. The price isn't outrageous once you factor in how much a destination wedding costs, but still, it's pricey. So Josie has a friend, Melody, that she's gotten really close with in the past 3 years. They're about the same age and both have daughters. Their relationship is at times a frenemy relationship. She also has a girlfriend from work who she's close with named Valerie. They've worked together for 2 years or so. Valerie and Josie have been planning the wedding weekend. Well, when I had lunch with Josie showed me the invite list and my name wasn't on it. When I asked her about it, she said it was an oversight and of course I would be there. I asked why 3 of the girls had stars by their names and she said that those were the bridesmaids. It was Valerie, Melody, and her sister along with the groom's 2 brothers, and Melody's husband. I asked if I was going to be her bridesmaids, and she said I wasn't because Melody is more sensitive than me, and she would feel some kind of way about it. I asked why Valerie was one, and she said Valerie is helping her plan it, so it seemed right. I decided to let this go until she showed me the plan of the house. And I realized there weren't enough rooms. I asked her who was doubling up, and she said no one. I would be sleeping on the couch or bunking with the children because I didn't have a +1, and all the couples were together. I told her not to worry about me, that I would just get a hotel on my own, so I didn't have to bunk with 10-year-old girls and a toddler. She said she couldn't get married without me, and I would have to be there with them. And I said, clearly you can get married without me. Valerie and Melody think I'm being too sensitive and that I'm ruining the wedding. But why would I pay to sleep on a couch? Am I being an a-hole? Everyone is making me out to be the villain because paying for lodging is essentially paying for the venue. But why should I pay to sleep on a couch? Had she made me a bridesmaid, I would have sucked it up as a friend. But I'm not essential to the wedding. Update. I want to thank you all. I had mostly not the a-hole, a couple everyone sucks here, but not you're the a-holes. With that being said, I'll be honest, I made excuses for Josie. I came up with every excuse in the book to justify her behavior. Josie literally took me in when my boyfriend and I broke up. She let me stay rent-free for months and stayed up with me as I cried. I was there for her when she and her fiancé broke up for a period of time. I didn't want to believe you guys when you said she was a terrible friend. There was no way I would miss a wedding. I went over to her house last night and I asked all the tough questions. You guys would have been so proud. I brought up a lot of the questions you guys did in the comment section. I asked, why did the kids get a room? Who did the floor plan? Why wasn't I on the list? So on and so forth. She had great answers to every question. We had an Oprah moment. We laughed, we cried, and we drank white wine. It was perfect. I had my best friend back. It was a misunderstanding. She said she would add me to the wedding planning group chat, and she said although I wasn't a bridesmaid, it was a dumb, meaningless title, and I knew in my heart where her loyalty was. I was at peace until I went home and logged into Facebook and saw that other girl, Alexandra, who I know well as well, tagged Melody, Valerie and Josie in a post saying that she had booked tickets for their last girls' fling before the real ring. I was effing pissed. I asked Josie about it, and she said that she had to make Alexandra a bridesmaid because she told her she would be flying into the state for her wedding with a long-term boyfriend. She purposely kept that shit from me because she knew I would be livid. I asked immediately where they would be sleeping and she said, well, you already wanted to stay in a hotel, right? I was pissed. I called her every effing name in the book and hung up. I cried myself to sleep and got blasted drunk. I woke up this morning with texts and a hangover. She begged me to come to her office this morning, so I did. I hoped she would apologize and make things right, but instead she asked if I could pick up her toddler from daycare because she was stuck. I literally laughed and walked right the F out. About an hour later, I got texts from M, B, and A saying that if I were really her friend, I would suck it up and sleep on the couch. I told them where they could put the couch. I called my real friends and we had lunch and got mani-pedis. F the wedding. F Josie and the Pussycats. I'm unbothered. Thank you Reddit for helping me see the light. Second update. I asked her at which point Melody became higher than me in the totem pole. Around the time that she met Melody, I had just gotten hired by my first airline and became a flight attendant, which was my lifelong dream. She said that I left a void in not only her heart but her family's too. She said Melody really stepped up and was there for her. I told her that as my friend, instead of recasting me, she should have been supporting me. Not to mention that every time I tried to hang out with her, she was with Melody and her family. Why would I third wheel two families, especially a family in which my best friend has been bad-mouthing? I asked her who was supposed to be the nanny, and apparently there was an implication that everyone would step up and do something for the trip. Apparently, no one was gonna get dumped with the kids. When I was in the group text, MVA had a separate one going with some things they were gonna surprise Josie with. Apparently, someone decided that I would be in charge of the baked goods and setting up the bar for the weekend. Apparently, the trip was supposed to be a couple's trip, even though the brother of the groom is single. It was apparently suggested that he and I share a room. The update right now is that she's blowing my phone up. She offered to make me maid of honor and to pay for a room to myself. No brother-in-laws, haha. You're not the a-hole OP. I'm sorry this happened to you. It's a very sad situation to be in. Josie was a friend who you believed you meant as much to as she does to you, but during her whole wedding plan she kept putting you last and putting everyone ahead of you, like they matter way more than you. That must have hurt. I'm glad you still decided to talk it through with her, even though just a few hours later you found out she was just lying to you. I'm sure that helped you make a firm decision to not be her friend anymore. That's a really good decision. Josie doesn't deserve you in her life anymore, so it's time for you to leave. Now for some comments. I'm still, the day after having read this update, just shaking my head at how terribly you were treated. Sure, fine, don't have someone in your wedding. Be upfront and honest about it. Be upfront about things in general, instead of lying and then lying again and then just being a bitch. Glad you lightened your load for you, so you could free up yourself to do other things with people that appreciate you. Sucks you had to find out like this though. Not gonna lie, I waited all day to see this update. F Josie and her shitty ass pussycats. I'm so sorry you've been treated like this, and I'm glad you stood your ground and walked out. She's clearly shown her true colors now and isn't worth the time. If she was a true friend, she would have been supportive of you when you got your dream job. She wouldn't have gotten you in the wedding party and then attempted to relegate you to the couch. Take that $500 you would have spent and treat yourself. So I'm very glad that the update ended up positive and you realized that they were taking advantage of you. But for future reference, I do think that thinking of friends as being higher or lower up on the totem pole and then getting mad about it isn't going to be healthy for you. I say this because I've been and probably still am in your shoes, and the moment I see that I'm not as high as a priority to someone as they are to me, I make changes. Or if the behavior doesn't change, I distance myself. The early changes prevent later heartbreak. The moment you bring up your questions or reasons for why other people are getting better treatment than you, it may cheapen your character in someone else's eyes. Not everyone has a rational mindset, especially during weddings. LOL. Story 2. Before we were together, my husband was in a 10-year live-in relationship, not married, with a woman who had 2 children by 2 different fathers. I think they were aged 1 and 3 when they first got together. They don't see their own fathers and call my husband dad. Husband left his ex when the 2 of us met. Bit of a whirlpool romance. and 6 months later we married. I'm expecting our first baby together in early December. My husband always tried to be reasonable with his ex, letting her remain in his old house when they broke up, and paid more beside this. This was something that always annoyed me, but I let it go because we didn't need the money. But his ex is always demanding even more than what he gives her, even though the children's fathers don't pay a blue cent, and they weren't married. The last 2 years that we've been together have been a nightmare. At least once a month, his ex turns up screaming and pounding on our door. The kids scream abuse at me, and the oldest has now started stealing from my house whenever I let them over for dinner. Contact is patchy, with the mom only really allowing it when she needs a babysitter or needs the kids to beg for more money, and so expensive holidays, play tickets, dinner reservations have been lost due to this. She has not worked in years and has made no attempts to find a job. I have had enough. I have told my husband that even though I love him more than life itself, it's me and our baby or them. Unless he evicts them from his house, has no further contact, and stops all payment, I will walk. He has told me we will revisit it after the baby is born, hoping her arrival will calm the kids down, but I'm not interested. I don't want those kids around my baby. Am I the a-hole for telling him again that he needs to do it before the baby is or we're done? Everyone sucks here, especially you, OP. Good Lord, you're a special kind of a-hole. I don't care if you had an affair or whatever, that's between the three of you. I don't believe in calling people homewreckers when it takes two to tango. But you are trying to emotionally blackmail him into cutting his family out of his life and not caring for them anymore. These are kids. Even if their mom is a nightmare, that doesn't justify what you want to do to them. They need their father and they need help. If you feel like you can't deal with this situation and you would feel safer alone, then go by all means. But you don't get to play the victim or make out like your husband doesn't care enough about you because you won't abandon his kids. Story 3. My husband in 2019 lost his job of 10 years and had to take up very low-paying ones. My daughter, 15, has been doing commercials, modeling, and acting jobs since she was 6. Since 2020, my husband's income has been cut even more. I don't work and have never worked. As such, most of the money we use has come from my daughter, who says she wants to use her nest egg to help us out with stuff like rent for the house we live in right now, utilities, and bought me a really nice tote for my birthday. My daughter has worked non-stop for nearly 10 years and now she wants to have some fun with her friends. However, my husband decides to get strict and tell her that her curfew is 11 p.m. She decides on Monday to go out with her friends from the neighborhood. My husband texts her at 11:05 and says if she isn't home in 15 minutes, they are going to have a problem because she didn't call ahead. She sends back, "I'll be home when the Uber I decide to call pulls up to the damn driveway. Don't forget to turn off the lights I pay for." She gets home at 12:30 and my husband is mad at her snark and her rule breaking and grounds her for 3 days. Tuesday morning, he goes away to see his mom with cancer. He calls later saying that he's going to be gone for a couple of days because she's in bad shape. Tuesday afternoon, I tell my daughter that I'm ungrounding her and that her dad was wrong to ground her, and that we cannot begin to repay her for her support. I feel like my husband's curfew is stupid because she's homeschooled and doesn't need to wake up early. Second, my husband tries to treat her like a child, yet apparently thinks she's adult enough to pay nearly all our bills. I think it's hypocritical and that the "my house, my rules" is being abused, because our daughter is the one paying for most of our expenses from her own money. Am I the a-hole? I feel like my husband is robbing our daughter of her agency, and this is a shitty way of repaying her for supporting us until he finds better work. My husband found out she was at a house party through Instagram and is texting me angry messages, but I texted back that he had no right to ground her in the first place. Now for some comments. You're the a-hole. Sabotaging the other parent is never a good move. That your daughter pays the bills doesn't make her an adult. She's still a teenager who needs to have rules, boundaries, guidance, and a united front from her parents. Your daughter needs to be parented, and that means setting limits, whether she's supporting you or not. 2. Curfews are about getting kids home before they can do a bunch of stuff they shouldn't be doing. Not so much about waking up in the morning. As an aside, have you thought of getting a job so that the money your daughter earns can actually be her nest egg? Everyone sucks here except the daughter. Speaking from experience as a daughter who worked as an actress and whose income helped her family, she should absolutely get a say in her life, since she has had to be an adult from an early age. Both OP and the dad are a-holes for mooching off the daughter. Dad is a-hole for being super strict about curfews, which, I'm sorry, do absolutely nothing except teach normally well-behaved kids that their parents don't trust them. Mom is good for ungrounding the daughter, but a-hole in general for mooching off a daughter. When you're an adult, you get to have a say in your life, full stop. All these people calling a 15-year-old head of household even though her father is working multiple jobs just blows my mind. There has to be an insane amount of children commenting on this because no adult in their right mind would ever say a child should lose the guidance and protection this father is trying to provide despite his lazy, selfish wife. I don't care how much money the kid has. She is a child, and she needs someone to care about her whereabouts, safety, and future. We don't know anything except that the wife is lazy and refuses to work and expects her child to pick up her slack. Not dad's. He is doing his part. Mom is doing nothing to right this situation for her husband and child. When times get hard, all the adults work. Period.